We won that Grammy 2 years into our career. So for us, I would say it was this, sort of like that jet fuel to just say, I guess whatever we're doing is connecting or it's working. Hi, I'm Gustavo.
I'm Carlos.
And we're Black Guayaba, and we're here with SoundExchange.
So you guys have been making music for over 2 decades now. Yeah. How has your dynamic as a group evolved from when you started?
Well, it's evolved a lot because we started out when we were straight out of high school. So back then we had a lot of free time, so we used to hang out a lot. And of course now, you know, we're grown as adults and he has kids, we all have wives, we all have stuff to do. The key thing here was that we each have roles in the band, and not necessarily you stay with the same role across, 20 years that we've been together. Like, I remember that Javi, at first, our guitarist, used to take care of all the things that had to do with like the image of the band and like all the covers and all of that. And now I've taken that as, my role. He's a lawyer, so he takes care of all of that. So we've all evolved personally, but at the same time, I think that we've known how to use all those, I guess, superpowers or whatever you want to call it, and then we can use it for the band and to help it, keep going forward as we, get older and don't have as much time as we did before.
And at the same time, creatively, we've changed very little how we make music. We've tried writing with our writers and producing with different producers and whatnot. But at the same time, we've stuck with the formula, which is us four in a room making music. And that's something that we actually, I'm not gonna say struggled, but we kind of put a little bit away in our last album, and we brought back on purpose for this album that we're working right now. We tried making it exactly with the dynamic that we did our first album. So I think that's something that helped us get our sound in the beginning, and it's something that we're trying to bring back right now with our career. And it's been very, very fun doing it like that.
Let's expand a little bit on, being in a room together, whether it's creatively or talking about these different roles that you guys have as members and how they've evolved. What do you think is the key to navigating collaboration?
Respect.
Yes.
I think as friends, as co-workers, as bandmates, the first thing we need to watch out is to always treat each other with respect. But as soon as you lose that, then all hell breaks loose, because then you start shouting and fighting and whatnot. And I think we've done a good job as friends of grounding ourselves about how we treat each other. And sometimes if somebody, let's say, crosses the line or something, the other one comes in and just like tries and work that situation, because we're co-workers, we're bandmates, but we're friends before everything else. And I think creatively and also in the business side of a group, it's something you need to really take care of, that you're working with your partners, so you need to treat each other with respect.
Yeah, and it's been 25 years and even more than that, because we used to study together in high school also. So it's become a family, and you treat family with respect. So basically that's the way we think about it when we go about, sometimes there are things that we need to talk about to, get things going. And sometimes it's a little bit rough, but it's just stuff that you have to do. And we manage to actually do it with respect. And it comes out, in our music, and the way that we interact with each other is still intact, I would say. We treat each other like we forever, since we've been in high school, the same way.
You mentioned that you guys are co-workers, but you're also family, you're also friends, first and foremost, but you're also doing business together. Mm-hmm. How have you navigated those conversations with these relationships? Did you talk about that at first? Or is it evolving? How do you handle those difficult conversations when it comes to your business side?
I think the roles thing we talked about, that everybody has a role in the band, I think it combines a lot with respect and trust. I think we trust each other with each role we have, and sometimes if, let's say, we have a business proposition on our business side on the band, and I have an opinion, well, I maybe have a little bit of more knowledge of the music industry, being an attorney, entertainment attorney as well. So I think they trust maybe my opinion, and sometimes what do you think about this? In the creative side or visual side, Gustavo works a lot on visuals. So if he has an idea, we're like, pretty much do whatever you want. We trust that what you do, it's gonna look and feel as the band should. So I think it's pretty much trust between us, but also we're also open to hearing what everyone has to say, because I could have a great, in my opinion, a great business idea, and if the guys don't want to do it, we won't do it. So it's something that it's been a relationship that has evolved and we've matured as persons and as a group at the same time. So I think that translates into how we do business and how we do music.
The other thing that I was going to say was that we don't treat each other as individuals. When it comes to the band, we're just the band. So with that aspect in mind, it's always, when it's come down to business, it's always like what's best for the band. And we always agree on what's best for the band. So in that sense, it's always been easy on how to navigate things, because we always want what's best for the band, not what's best for us. So
I want to talk a little bit about your latest album, Black Guayaba. What was the reasoning behind putting out your self-titled album now?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I think it's been brought up in all our interviews for this album. And I think we actually didn't do it on purpose, that we waited for, this is what album? Sixth album to be the self-titled album. But I think it just went naturally that when we started looking for a name, we just thought, this just sounds like Black Guayaba. So it is Black Guayaba, and it just went with the flow. We just went with the flow.
Yeah, and it's, yeah, the sound that you hear in this new album, it represents our sound as a band, but not the same way you've listened to us in the first album, but with all the evolution, with everything we've learned along the way, this is Black Guayaba now. So I think that's the reason why we all agreed it was a great time to call it that. Yeah.
Also, I think I don't think we talked about this before in any interview, but I think we had like a professionally, internally, like a rebirth on how we do stuff.
Sure.
And it's something that it's kind of emotional for us, because we started working on this album and it was like, we want to do something that means something for us. So we went back to the studio, to the original studio, where we pretty much wrote our songs for our first couple of albums. We recorded everything as we did back then, which we pretty much demoed the whole thing and then re-record everything on top of it to make sure it's sounding as we like. So we pretty much went in the nostalgic route of making the album, and at the same time gave birth to this sound that is what we know is our sound right now. So I think it's a combination of stuff that it just makes perfect that the album is self-titled right now.
Sometimes you get caught up in okay, so we have to make this sound for radio. It needs to be 330 or less. It needs to have all these sort of limitations, right? And for this album, we just went, you know what? We're just going to make the best album we can make, and not care about all these things that you always have in your mind as a pop artist, if you want to call it that. So it was fun because we really just let the music flow, I guess.
In your opinion, since starting, what have been some of the biggest changes in the Latin rock space that you guys have noticed?
Well, in the Latin rock space, at least in our market, because we're from Puerto Rico, there's always been rock bands in Puerto Rico, and there's a very healthy scene in Puerto Rico for pop rock, but the spaces for rock, they just went away. On radio, on venues, they kind of went away because other genres just came into the spotlight, which is a normal thing in the music industry. But I think the biggest challenge, for music in general and for our genre is technology. When we started, we put out CDs. Then social media came in, streaming came in. So it's been good for us and for other artists to have that outlet to have more distribution channels to get your music out there and to get your promo out there. But at the same time, competition broadens, because then you're not only working in your market, you're working against, let's call it against, artists around the world. So I think in our space, that should be the biggest like challenge we've faced, or the change. Let's call it change and not a challenge. And now AI, it's coming.
It's coming.
for all of us.
It's already here.
It's coming for all of us.
Is there one thing that you guys hope to see if you could, change the industry in one way tomorrow?
Wow.
You want me to answer this?
Of course, that's why I'm looking at you.
This is your role.
I would say the biggest challenge the industry faces is pricing. You have other industries, like they say the food industry, where you have different chefs that they can put out different types of food and they can name the price for their food. You could have a chain restaurant that sells you a $2 hamburger, and then you have a Michelin star restaurant that has a $50 burger. If people want to pay $50 for a burger, they can do so. And the pricing structure for that chef, the seating arrangement and whatnot, you can name your price. In the music industry, in the streaming side, an artist that has less market size charges the same as the one that has a bigger market size. So I think it's something that needs to be addressed, where independent artists that don't have millions and billions of plays can make a living out of the main distribution source of our music, which is digital streaming, without hurting the whole ecosystem. So I think I've given this a lot of thought. Obviously.
You see why I let him answer that one?
That was probably one of the best answers I've ever heard.
So it's something that if you look to other industries, you could find an answer. It just need to be implemented. So went technical there.
No, that's beautiful. I loved it. 10 out of 10.
You guys have won a Grammy and have been nominated for a few Latin Grammys as well. What did that mean to you in that moment, and how does it continue to impact the music that you're making and how you're growing?
I mean, one thing that you have to put into context is that we won that Grammy 2 years into our career. So for us, I would say it was this sort of like that jet fuel to just say, I guess whatever we're doing, it's connecting or it's working, And it was sort of like this validation because when you win a Grammy, it's your peers, it's the musicians, the producers, they all voted for you. So it's a great honor. And for us, we still talk about it, and it's like, that's awesome, So it was very cool, and I think that it has helped our careers in some way, because it's this sort of badge of honor that you get to wear, and from there on, people like, let's say this. It's funny because they say, oh, look. They present you like, hey, this is Gustavo from Black Guayaba. Oh, nice to meet you. They won a Grammy. Oh, it's that sort of like that. So it's cool because if they are not paying attention, that helps a little bit. But at the same time, it was 18 years ago or something like that, or even more than that. I don't know. No,
2008.
Yeah. So it's been a while, and we're still here. We're still making music. I don't even talk about the Grammy. Like, I don't even mention it, because for me, it's not this sort of like crutch. It's more like, again, it's just sort of like a nice thing to have, and then it's just cool. But this is what I'm doing right now.
Also, I think it's modified through time, how we feel about it, at least how I feel about it. Sure. I think when you win a Grammy, as young as we were 20-somethings. I think I had
23, I think.
23, I think, when we won the Grammy. It's something that at that point you feel maybe like it's like a pressure, like we got this, so now we need to make something better. And then we might have struggled at the beginning to try and like live up to that. But right now, looking back at it, it's like Gustavo said, it's a badge of honor, but it's a validation that what you did, the sound you have, it works, and people like it, and your peers like it. So I think it's something that, looking back, just gives us a sense of security on what we do, not so much as pressure of doing it the way we should do it. So I think right now, looking back at it, it's like, let's do what we do. Because back then it worked. It has worked for the past 20-something years. So let's just keep doing it.
Okay, last question for you guys. What is the best or worst piece of advice you guys have gotten in your career so far?
Ooh, let me think of the worst while you talk.
The best piece of advice when we started the band, we went to a famous producer in Puerto Rico, and he told us just go back on the road and play. Yeah, we call it in Puerto Rico calle. You need calle. So we went to the street and we played in bars and bars for years. That's why we've been together 25 years as a band, but only 20 years in our musical career, because the first 5 years we spent them playing in whatever bar we could. And we grew together as musicians before. So I think that for a new artist, you need to find your sound. If you're a group, you need to find your sound together. So I think that's one of the best pieces of advice, because when we get on stage, those first 5 years of training wheels that we took off, they show. And they show not only for our audience, but they show between us. We don't even have to look at each other when we're performing, because we've been doing it for so long. And part of it is because we took the time to make sure we were a band before presenting ourselves as a band.
We were performers. Yeah. Worst advice, I would say, was they told us that it wasn't they, but the worst advice was to change managers. That was the worst advice that someone gave us, I would say.
But not necessarily change, but to drop the guy we had.
Drop the guy we had. Yeah.
And that we still regret it. It's been 15 years and we still look at each other. It's like, we messed up, man.
Yeah, because it's sort of like when you have this family, you really want your band to really make it. You have to be with somebody that really cares about the band as well, not just as a commodity or just as an asset, but he's part of it. He's and that, I think that's very important. So my advice from that bite of advice would be, if you have a person that's it's been there since day one, don't drop him.
Unless he steals from you.
Unless he steals from you or doesn't do a good job, then yes. But if not, don't.
Usually the manager of the band when you start is the biggest fan. And that's probably true, because it's someone that's probably working for free the first couple of years, and it's growing with you. It's the same thing. We as musicians on the band, I'm a fan of our band. I look at it and I'm a fan of our music. And our team should all be fans of our music, because you need to love what you're doing. This industry is very hard to navigate. Sometimes you're on the top of the world and then you're at the bottom, and people who stick with you should be rewarded with loyalty, I think. So that's, unless they steal from you, don't drop them.
That's the main time, but they can't steal from you. You have all the law degree, you have the contracts, right?
Yeah, well, maybe you look the other way, but you should.
Thank you so much.